what happened to alternative fee arrangements? I thought that was supposed to be a whole thing, and then...
We don't have good data about the amount of time for specific tasks, about the likely outcome. It's sort of like the wishful thinking about AI applied to legal outcomes. We're just not there yet. It's garbage in, garbage out. And so a lot of the law firms that really embraced it either got burned or ended up, what we see a lot even on the eDiscovery kind of predictive pricing, is that you end up paying a cushion so that you are absorbing someone else's risk. My logic has always been, I'd rather just pay for the incremental pieces, not absorb the risk of someone else's doing business. So I think we didn't know enough to be very laser focused on how pricing was done using AFA, and because of that it ended up not reflecting the cost containment. That doesn't mean that it's fallen out of top of mind for corporations. They've just changed how they're going about it. A lot of them are applying AI to billing and trying to normalize cost per task based on levels. So, all right, the last 5 times you've done this, filed this motion, you used a third-year attorney. It was 2.5 hours. Why did you use a partner for 8 hours this one time? And so we're in a couple different pilots being asked to go back 5, 6, 8 years of billing and sort of explain deviations. And so I anticipate what we'll see is this AFA stuff gaining traction as there's this multi-law firm aggregate information.
Like some analytics around it, so you can predict it.
I was going to say, I agree, because with the legal operations, the teams themselves coming together with a couple of their conferences and actually talking to each other on how they do it. And then again, the AI in the Serengeti and the counseling, the actual e-billing tools are starting to mature with innovation. And then when you talk about the clients saying, the RFP process, they're actually using that information now and saying, well, we're going to bid this out, but last time you took 8 hours and this took 4 hours. Why are you so much longer than other people? So they're using those metrics to negotiate, which is something they never did before.
And it's not only corporate. I mean, that's part of what I am building towards in my program. Not that I can talk much about my specific program, but we are looking for an ability to be more metrics driven and more insightful in how we structure not just our estimates, but also use of resources, really understanding the strengths and weaknesses of my individual staff based off of metrics. It is sort of the way I think a lot of corporations are looking at my stable of providers, and that might be discovery providers, that might be outside counsel, that might be any number of things. They're applying the business of doing business to the procurement of law now.
It's like the Billy Beane story in baseball, like where he came in and was like, no, we're doing this by numbers now, and now you have some data to pull from. Boy, I wish there was more of that type of collaboration. Like we're starting to see it with Clock, but in the vendor space it's really hard because everybody's kind of competing. In the law firm world there's still quite a bit of that, but that really does seem to be where we can squeeze a lot of costs out of the system, standardize things. The standardization of work and protocols we've talked about, but there's still a long ways to go, man. We all have to hire really specialized people to fill in gaps, and it's definitely a big challenge.
Not if you have a tool like Litzy.
Like Litzy, yeah, there you go. Thanks for the Litzy plug there. Right? That was super nice
but
of you.
I think it's very progressive, the integration of BI tools into our systems that are basically all about numbers and data points, and we're just letting it sit there with Excel files that we export all the time. But I always talked about it. We did a panel where this is great. We give these reports to the attorneys, but they don't know how to translate these numbers into something meaningful. But when we start to look at it in position as here's a pie chart or here's a line graph, all of a sudden it told that story for them. They're like, why are we doing this? You're like, this is the same report that's been coming out for 6 months, and now you're paying attention because graphically they can interpret
It's not
those
just
numbers.
lawyers that are like that. All human beings are like that. You show
Yeah.
somebody an obvious picture of something, they're going to make the obvious decision. They have to synthesize a bunch of rows of data, less likely.